Yeah. So how many tools are you guys using? Any AI things that are like, hey, this is what I'm effectively making my time go from where it was to speed, speed and acceleration. What does that look like for you?
I'm working on a one-page landing page, a one-pager. So I was creating, because I was really struggling with how would I put pricing together. I didn't know what to do with any of that. So I put that into AI. I've been using the Gigi from Tony Robbins thing at the moment because it answers in their voice, if you will, but it's basically
Yes.
an AI. And so I put my thing in there. And when I put in about Toastmasters, immediately it came back in and put the prestigious distinguished Toastmaster, so it's been nice. I'm working on getting a one pager.
Awesome. Awesome. That is huge. And that's something you mentioned, going through the process of just getting this up, right? And finalized and taking the time to actually obviously skim through, like sure you don't your I's and your T's, but that changes the corner for how this looks and feels and shows up, right? So it does have still, it meets that professional need, because there is a definite need for that. There are too many people throwing up quick pages, and that's going to actually hurt you in the long run. So don't do that. Avoid that at all costs. Because if you just are duplicating someone's template, it's just going to land in the gray zone. And so
Yeah.
Google's not going to give you any love. The people that see it are going to go, this looks like everyone else I've seen. So no differentiation, right? Absolutely good job. Very cool. How about you two in the Larry Breen? I love that CFP. Let's hear some of yours. What do you have?
Well, let's see here. I'm in a big tiff with one of them. Let's see here. What's the name of it? My AI. Don't want to.
Oh, sometimes we use Chat GPT. We also use the Awesomeness group.
Ooh.
Right. What's the one? Let's see here. I spent. I'm fighting with them over.
Jasper.
Jasper AI.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a disaster. Jasper is a disaster. So, and anyway, I spent $600 on it, and we're fighting over that right now. So
yes, I've heard that same thing from multiple people. What is it you're experiencing though that specifically like it's not functioning, or is it more about the outcome?
It was I bought it in July of 2022, and I did one project with it. It took me probably, I'll bet you at least a day, maybe probably even 2 days to get it done. Mind you, that I was a newbie. I was just getting into this here, so you definitely anticipate a learning curve. But it was awful. I mean, I still got I printed out the content and things like that. And so anyway, I just kicked it to the curb here. We started moving on to some other things, but they with an automatic renew.
There you go.
Yeah, and of course they don't give you any heads up on that. I mean, I don't care about automatic renews as long as you give me like, hey, 30 days out. Hey, you got this bill coming up.
Yes.
That's kind of how it goes. No, you can't even talk to my phone. Only when it's nuts. So
there you go. There's something about that customer service on that. I agree with you. There's too many platforms getting put out there and so quickly, but they don't have this customer service dialed in to where at least you get some type of 24-hour notice, right? You're about to go on another charge for another year for a certain amount, right? Which is not a small chunk. If it's monthly, that's different, but yearly. Oh, I agree with you 100%. And that's the key. There are a couple I want to throw in this real quickly with regards to what, and this is professional advice to professionals, because there's so many people using this method, right? If you jump on a subscription, great. And if you give them the full service, they're going to be honored, right? And that's something they're going to respond with. Most of the time, if you just let them know, they're more than willing to stick with you. If it's a monthly charge, it's not huge. It's something they're still using, but that's key. If you're checking in on them on a regular to see, are you using this? Are you normally, like, the time you're spending on this tool, are you getting the value out of it? And that's going to change everything for you. The response on that is game changer for the business, right? Again, it's a business. So one of the worst pieces of advice I just got recently was, hey, why aren't you doing multiple languages? Because you know, it looks great, it's awesome, but why don't you put in the time, use some AI and get this across on all different languages? Because then you can go global. And I thought, I hear you. Yes, we could go get more traction and reach more people. But what about if I just focused on one ideal person, which is our kind of go-to, and help them scale, help them grow. And then when the time comes, we can start to expand on that. So my heart is, and we've always seen this do much better, is focus on that one funnel, the one person, the one product, help that go and scale that. And then secondary, then third and fourth. Otherwise, you're spreading yourself out, hoping for some growth. And usually it goes across laterally with very little, if that makes sense. The expansion is minimal as opposed to one focus. And you're really taking care of that ideal person with the most you've got, everything you got, pouring into them. They know it, they feel it. It's a game changer for a business to grow that way as well. So
not
just a
only
tip.
that, you go to all those languages, you're messing with very poor translation.
Right.
Become culturally insulting.
Yes.
And it's just not clean.
It's a good point. Very good point. And what they didn't understand was when someone's at scale and they're scaling, my question was always, what are you scaling? Like, don't just go to scale your business and scale something, scale specifically. What is it you're going to scale? So that's what I came back with. My question to them was, well, what would you recommend I scale using all these multiple languages? And they couldn't answer it. So that was like, all right, thanks for advice, but hey, I think we're going to keep moving on with what we're doing here. What about you, Tobes? What are you using AI?
So the core of it is mostly Chat GPT, but I have built a lot of tools to automate my my prompt generation. And so it's because Chat GPT wasn't easy and time saving enough for me. So I even I put automations on top of that.
Ooh, wow, wow, wow. Okay. And is that for the purposes of interaction with specific?
It's for the a big part of my deliverables is content creation. And so you know, I generate prompts to make sure that ChatGPT knows the customer voice that I'm writing in, that it can help me generate topic ideas and then execute on those in the voice of the client. And they've really liked the content since I started doing that.
There you go. There you go. So you're thinking about them. That's great. That's key. The question that always comes up too, how do I serve my ideal person? Yes, I got those results. I can get them where they need to go. I can solve their problem. But if you're not thinking about them and messaging, like you just mentioned, you're putting it on you, right? It always comes back to how can I show up and how can I, and there's no connection whatsoever. So good job. Good job. You're about to say something, Larry?
Gentlemen, what would you, and lady, what would you recommend as far as, Josh, what you're talking about there, you know, prompt generation? We're newbies at this, and basically, you know, our initial experiences haven't been that great. So we'd like to launch better this time. So is there any guidance that you can give us?
What's the output? What are you trying to get out of it?
More or less, I mean, content,
articles.
Yes, well, not, you know, that, and also just the spoken word. For example, there's this one outfit that we have done business with, and they put out some pretty high caliber stuff, but it's you know, it's basically for the masses is what it comes down to here.
Gotcha.
And it's nice, but and they've got, you know, great voices. They've got great you know, artificial people and things of that nature. But I don't think that that's going to really resonate myself as far as the artificial people go. That's just me. I can understand the artificial voice, but that's a whole lot easier to fake than you know, looking at who is basically a digital person. So,
right.
Can I speak to that, Larry? Because I'm just asking if I can speak to that, Larry.
Yes,
I've been in the financial business for 40 years. I gave up my CFP, kept my CLU and all that good stuff. But this is a very personal business. You're talking to people about their money. And if you're in high net worth, you're talking to people about very high net worth money. And personally, I think you present better in person period.
Yeah.
So for a little shot for myself, if you wanted to work at polishing your presentation, then that's when you would work with somebody like me, whether it was me or somebody else. But you need to just step in and be you, because you make the difference.
That makes sense. Absolutely.
Yes, agreed.
Larry, why don't you Slack me the prompts that you've got so far, and I'll Slack you mine, and we can compare notes.
Love it.
You know what Slack is? So y'all, I'm a dinosaur. I don't know this stuff.
Josh, well, I'll add you. I'm on Slack. So
Perfect.
we've been kind of using Chat GPT for several topics that Larry deals with on like 1031 exchange, DST, qualified opportunity zone. So it's very lengthy, and that's where we're kind of, we're trying to kind of format and figure out how to put out a video that doesn't have complicated verbiage, and for people to understand and simplify to the point, and also with some examples, maybe stuff like that. So that's where we're at, and we're trying to figure that out. But I'll send you what I found on I'll add you on Slack. I think I'll look you up, and then I'll kind of show you what I have. But that's where that's the point where we're at. We're gathering all the info, and then gonna just go from there. But we just got to do it. It has to get done, but not perfect. Just like Mike said, I love those words. And one step at a time, right?
Yes, that's right. And are you planning on using video? Is that the content base, or is it a mix? You said
we would like to do more videos.
Yes, definitely doing videos.
Yeah,
right, in-person videos. Yeah, that was the whole idea about getting a teleprompter fixed and getting the Apple, iPad as well.
Yes.
So
100%.
It will be, like you say, and to your point, Sandra, it will be more personal. It'll be me, in front of the camera speaking.
Yeah.
And I
100%.
don't do a lot of high-end numbers and all that stuff. I'm not even interested in. But I am working with people who need to understand and get clear what they're thinking. And that's what I think you need to really move into in the video format. So I love things like intergenerational conversation and estate planning, but let's not worry about how much you need in the life insurance and exactly which contract you need, because that's not the important thing at that point. That's afterwards.
Right.
It's great. It's great. Absolutely agree. When you put down content, just like we worked with Cash Flow Tactics, which was one of our, and still is, like I mentioned last time, sharing his next steps are now personal brand, right? He's still in financial, he's still working with people on getting them freedom. That's their whole call. Their banner is rise up, live free. And so when he's speaking to his people, he's like, what is it? I still come back to this. What's the main goal? And then how can I reach them the best? And that is, like Sandra, you hit it, was hitting them right where they're at, personal, and looking at the camera face to face as if you were talking to them right here, giving them advice, right? And then how often can you do that? That's my question. So with these guys, they're busy, right? But I said, can you at least pin down once a week for an hour and give us your best quality? I'm talking, speak to them as if you were telling them, this is the crucial moment. I only have an hour. What's the most value? And what would really attract them, right? In the sense of like, you're hitting on my pain points. You've really made this a sensible action step for me to go and test my own method or whatever I'm doing already that's not working. What do you have as something that will work and change my situation today? An action step today. So those two things. And what we did was we nailed the most profitable fast action steps for them to go do for their own business, right? And then they turned that into weekly webinars, web classes. They eventually called them workshops, and people were so attracted to that. They had, not only did they get, the first round was maybe 20, 30 people ish. And I thought, wait, 20, 30 people on your first web class or workshop? That's incredible. And almost about 90% of those signed up for their program. So it's something to think about. Absolutely take those the most profitable action steps possible. And I absolutely agree with teleprompter. You'll be able to just kind of dial through. I would absolutely recommend too is don't put whole sentences, right? Where you're trying to digest it and read it as it's coming. Cause then you do this where you're talking and watching and like you see the heart of who you are kind of fade in the background. And then the reading comes out, right? So just a quick piece of advice, put it in bullet points after you've practiced the long form, and you're going to be boom, boom, but less scripted, more from the heart, right?
Got it. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so
so
much
right.
of it, where Mike, you were talking about scalable.
Yes.
My experience has been that people thought they wanted to scale. So they've gone from one business up to 3 locations,
Ooh.
worked extra hard,
Mm,
and then found out at the end of the day, their take home and their time was no different than if they just did the one, you know, whether it was a restaurant or whatever the business would be, that they had expanded, that the scaling didn't really prove what they wanted out of life. So they
right.
were better just to get rid of those extra ones, do one and do it well, which comes back to your thing, and take their time for themselves. So it's kind of like life, you know, you expand and you get big, and then you get closer to the end of your life and you need to tidy things up either for family or state or your own personal lifestyle. And that's the challenge.
Right. Right.
That's
Good
why I
point.
say it's not about the number and the product. It's about what they want first.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why the question always comes up. What you want to scale what? Because you want to scale your business, got it. But what aspect? Is there something for the business you can scale? Some things aren't scalable. You can't scale people, right? You can maybe duplicate yourself and say, okay, I'm going to hire someone, bring someone on to take my position and then grow that in that sense. But that's not scaling, right? That's growing your company, right? Internally.
Or
But there's
buying your own time.
right.
Yeah.
And that's key is understanding what is it that you can scale, what can be duplicated and replicated simply. If you
And
squash
then
that question down,
recognizing that what you're duplicating, you better be watching every bit of it, because how many,
oh,
you know, business partners and people like that are even more dramatic than a marriage contract, I'll tell you. No, it is.
watch
You're
out, watch
trying to
out.
stay. Yeah, it's tough going.
Yes, agreed, 100%. I'm more laughing off my pain point from that because I have experienced that real time, and absolutely agree with you. So, how does this look too regarding the tools? Now we mentioned a couple things regarding tools, right? AI tools that help streamline things, and ultimately too this whole speed. I've heard the stat just yesterday, actually sharing that those that are using AI, familiar with AI, spend at least 10, 20 hours, that the company as a business has increased because they've spent some time. So then they've accelerated the whole processes, systems, paperwork, things like that, that can be used by ChatGPT, AI, no problem. But when you've taken zero time and you've kind of just done what they call the headline kind of approach, where you're just like, oh, I've read that, I've seen that, not using it. Those have actually started to decline in their growth because of what ChatGPT has done, right? So just a quick note, absolutely encourage it. If you haven't already, put in those 10, 20 hours, understand it well, at least one aspect to a chat, understanding AI. Doesn't have to be ChatGPT. It could be a tool that really is going to help you be most productive. And that alone could shift things, how you show up tomorrow, then the next day, because it takes 1%, next day 1%, and you are all of a sudden hitting the numbers you're hoping for by getting all those other things out of the way, so you can actually focus on what you want to do. So
Right.
I
encourage
needed to
that.
hear that
What
today.
resources
There's my
do you
takeaway
recommend?
today. Is
Awesome.
get learning a software one at a time, and because it drives me crazy.
Yes, there's too many choices, right? So many options, but I think that's key. Tobes, you mentioned something, and I'm just going to bring it back to light, where you're seeing I'm focusing on one thing to use this chat, right, and have that fine-tuned so it actually is going to help you in that sense of growth. But what I want to say, as you're using this and putting in the time, what is it that you're getting back from that? Are you seeing any kind of internal ROI? Is it saving you time? I mean, what's the big takeaway for you?
It's saving me a ton of time. Actually, you know what? I take that back. It's not saving me that much time. It's saving me a lot of money.
There you go.
And more importantly, I think it's saving me a lot of cognitive resources, which at this stage is what I run out of long before I run out of time.
Right. It's good. So good. Love it. And then is anyone, before I move on, before we close up, because I do want to give everyone an opportunity to close up with your takeaways, but what is it that you're seeing too in this realm of AI? And the big one, I think that I'm just going to throw it out there, using something like an AI tool to get better at what we do, content driven, right? Is anyone using a AI tool to actually fine tune what happens on the outcome? So not just like, I'm going to type some text and I'm going to get a script, or I'm going to type something in and get out some images, right? But other than that, the productivity, does that make sense? Is anyone using that type of tool, a larger, bigger picture, like duplicating landing pages or, things like that? Or is it still small? I'm doing one thing, one focus, because that's what I want to bring this back down to.
Mike, and Josh, you as well. I mean, you guys seem like you really dialed into these, like the AI tools and things of that nature here. And if there's any recommendations that you would give me and Christina, that'd be awesome.
There you go. So my question to you is, what do you want to accomplish with the AI? What is it going to help you right now in your business? What's the biggest goal too that you can use AI for to accomplish? If you could do me a favor, send those, right? Put them in the chat or put them in the Slack, either way. And we're happy to give you some fine-tuned, like more like, we'll make this the, what is that called? The list that's really fine-tuned just for you. That would make sense for the tools that you step into. I can't even come up with the word right now, but brain fart. But it literally is that, like, it's important to know, like, okay, what are your goals? Because then we can understand, hey, what makes sense in trying a specific tool, as opposed to way off base, not going to help you, waste of time, right? Want to avoid that. So at all costs.
But is ChatGPT your foundational AI?
That's my favorite.
Right.
Okay.
It's a good one. Absolutely agree. It is probably the most foundational regarding the research, been the time into it, the outcome, right, is quicker than a lot of the others. I will say though, if you haven't jumped onto Bard, if you're already using Chrome,
Bard.
Right, there is an aspect to Bard now that they've started adding on extensions. So the extensions that are already part of Chrome. And what you can do inside of Bard is, when you sign on to a personal account. So don't sign on to a business account. I don't think it was going to work the same. And it's going to give you better outcome anyway. Is when you're in there and you're like, okay, I need to chart my day out. I need to plan this and plot it, where the extensions that are in there are already pre-built for that. So you're saying, I'm going to be going to, Florida next week. I have to get itinerary. I got to get this ready. There's already pre-built systems in the extensions, so that all you do is ask a question and it comes back to you and lines you up. The itinerary, the daily, take this flight, go to this, route, kind of helps you clean up this timeline of what that looks like for you from day to day. So it's really helpful. Notice that. That's just the productive side, right? The behind the scenes. Outside of that, Bard for sure. ChatGPT, yes. As long as you can understand the languaging, and I think that, with regards to putting the time in, like I said, take 10-20 hours, and then Josh, Mr. Tobes, can actually drop in some suggestions, right, that really make sense for you. So absolutely take advantage of it. Let's do some quick takeaways. That'd be awesome before we close up. What do you got? Let's start with Sandra, since she's in there holding her chin. Let's see.
I have no idea what you're asking for. I'm trying to jot some of those little words in there. But the takeaways today have been huge for me. Thank you very much. Not only because Larry's here as a financial planner, But it brings me back to what my wisdom is within the financial planning industry and the sales force and why they need me. Like that's, I've just got to not wonder about all kinds of corporations. I need to go after the financial ones, the MGAs, I mean, the whole thing, and the sales force, whether they have accents, whether they need to get good on video, whether the clarity that they need. That's all the stuff that I ace.
Come on. Well, there you go. I'm glad you got that clarity.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
It is awesome. Thank you both to Larry and Christina and Joshua with your whole idea of the prompts and so on. I'm working with them, but I really need to, and Mike, I really need to take that time, that 10 to 20 hours, and really just learn one software at a time, because this whole digital world has had me in overwhelm.
Oh yeah.
Taking away from my value, because I know my stuff. And I'm good at my clarity and my straight talk. But to get past all this digital shit is just, I think Larry and I are probably on the same goal with that.
Yeah. You got that right, Sandra. Absolutely.
But you know, Christina's going to figure stuff out. And then you're going to still be left. Thank God for Christina. If she's sick tomorrow, what do I do? You know, that type of thing. And I'm so tired of that overwhelmed feeling.
Yes.
I've got the brains of the operation, so
you don't want that turning into a dumpster fire.
But she's not going to go talk to those high net worth clients face to face.
Right.
And I'm dealing with a client right now. It wasn't even a client, dating site, and the guy says, "Oh, well, maybe you better look at this this universal life policy for me." You know, at the end of the day, he's going around in friggin' circles over, well, these numbers, that illustration. Really, he's going to have to bet on when he's going to die, because those universal life, the old YRTs, are criminal in my mind. He could pay $150,000 when he's 99 for 1 year's premium. Or protect his 200,000 he's got in there. If he takes that out, going to have 50% tax. You know, like all of those numbers don't matter. When do you plan to die, and what do you want as a result? That's that's the straight goods. So we'll see what he does with that. But
come on, and that alone clears it up. So, in really quickly too, give everybody opportunity before we jump. One quick takeaway. And either your Tobes, how about you, real quick?
Well, I've got to do my homework, or I owe Christina money.
There you go. Come on. I love it. Right. Christina and Larry, what do you got?
I love the fact that we can talk about this stuff and kind of, you know, just digest and listen and observe and give input. So I really appreciate this accountability and
come on.
And to speak with all of you guys and to share your experiences with Sandra and Mike and Joshua, your expertise and your talents, and to lend a helping hand, and wherever we can lend our hand to help you guys to collab. It's just a win. So I'm thankful for this group and thankful for all of you guys. And we're just keep on plowing away and chiseling at the workflow, and we'll get there, and with a positive attitude. I know it can be very frustrating, and this time and world we live in, and the technology and AI and all this craziness. But you know, when you're true and you're genuine, and people feel that, and you work, and you know, it's all also about relationship business. And when people see that with your clients, they'll stick with you. And that's what it's about. You know, we're not fake people. We're not robots. We're genuine people, and we want to do what's right and do what's best in this world. Whatever tools we have, right? And so 100%. We have a tool with this is a great tool and a great collab to work with all of you guys. So thank you. We appreciate your time.
Oh, right on. I'm glad you got it. You got some nuggets out of there. And think about this, the simplicity of marketing. The marketing term, we always say, it always turns into relationship. And that's what it is, your business relationship building. So marketing, that's all it is. Simply put, keep it at that level and you'll never go wrong. And then to take away, I'm just going to make sure to put in the chat or in Slack, if you're wanting to ask some specific questions to get clarity around a curated, that was the word I was looking for, a curated list, we'll make it happen. All right, guys.
Okay.
Thank
I
you
just want to
all.
finish off with, the height of insanity is
Oh,
we have computer robots asking us if we're robots.
oh, come on. Come on. All right, guys. Well, hey, we'll see you next week. Until
got
then,
it.
have a great one, and we'll see you soon.